Welcome to the Voice of the Veteran Show, the #1 show in the nation for firsthand veteran experience at the VA. My name is Gail Ochiltree, Army Airborne veteran, along with Nicholas Cormier III. There he is, and MC Franklin, the producer in the back. Say hello, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Nicholas, I was just wondering, do you have that coronavirus app on your phone? You know, the one that tells you when you're surrounded by that coronavirus? You know, it looks like this right here.
No, Gail, I don't have that app on my phone.
You don't have that thing? Well, it's a real thing, you know, and it shows up with a little red ball with, it's all fiery looking with all these little spikes sticking out all over the place right there, those little spikes sticking out.
You're talking about spike proteins. Look, I don't have that coronavirus alert on my phone, Gail. Does an alarm go off or something?
Oh, yeah, it does. Oh, yes, it does. I'm telling you, I woke up this morning with a taste of tequila and guacamole in my mouth. And I'm telling you, I'm exhausted.
What? Now you see why I buy into these stories. Okay, so coronavirus app is going off, and we've got tequila, guacamole, and you're exhausted.
I'm exhausted. That's right. I'm exhausted. And look, here's what happened. Okay, here's the story. I'm taking a walk down the street, right? And the alarm goes off.
Okay, and what did you do?
Well, I look down at my phone, of course, and there's that bright red light just flashing away. I mean, that virus is just surrounding me. I'm like losing my mind, you know? And so I did the only thing I could to immediately socially distance, you know, and I leap into the nearest dumpster behind the Mucho Mas Mexican restaurant, and I knocked myself out. I mean, I was unconscious.
I couldn't help but notice the outfit. Does that have anything to do with the Mucho Mas Mexican?
Well, I wanted a little Mexican flair.
You look great.
Thank you very much. Stick to the script.
Oh, man.
I just what?
It's worse than getting the virus.
Yeah,
How'd you get out of that dumpster? And that could be rough if you've never done it before.
Yeah, well, like I said, I woke up with the smell of tacos and tequila and hot sauce in my nose, but that was a lucky break for me because, heck, I had breakfast right there. So I did what anybody would do. I got the hand sanitizer out of my pocket and washed my hands all up before I had a taco or two.
Well, that's good. You I suppose. Look, there's no ordering, there's no bill, and there's no waiting for your food to come to the table, and you dodge the virus on top of that. What's next?
Well, what do you mean, what's next on Voice of the Veteran, or what did I actually do next? Okay, so I'll answer both. Okay, #1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to email my primary doctor at the Women's Health Clinic, right? This is what you do after you do something crazy like sleep in a dumpster overnight, right? I'm gonna contact my primary at the VA, and I'm going to do that by typing in a message on My Healthy Vet and the secure messaging, and I'm going to ask for a consult to chiropractic clinic because I've been sleeping on that tequila bottle all night. You know what I mean? And my back is hurting, you know? So, and maybe I'll get a consult for the sleep clinic too, you know, because I'm exhausted. I'm telling you, I didn't sleep very well at all.
And maybe the VA Volunteer Services will have a sombrero for your next Corona adventure. Okay, let's do the real Corona update and antibody testing, which maybe you'll need after being in the dumpster all night.
I might. It might not have anything to do with Corona. I may need antibody testing for God knows what after I was sleeping there. So maybe I could just take that stupid app off my phone, and that way I could just go around stupid.
No. I like the idea of the app. I'm going to ask you about it later. I'd like to get it. But that's always an option. And there's more, right? There's more Spirit Mountain time.
There's that too. Spirit Mountain.
let's do
Yeah.
the serious part of the show.
Okay, let's try to be serious. All right. So this is about antibody testing and how we even started in wanting to discuss this, because we've talked a lot about the vaccine. Nicholas and I have both gotten 2 shots, Pfizer shots at the VA. Everything went really well. But then I got the bright idea that I needed to have an antibody test. So we're just going to go through it about why you should or should not have an antibody test and what that's all about. And it's quite detailed, so stand by. So I truly appreciate it when anybody at the VA, any authority gives me clarity on a subject, right? You know, so that I can mention it on the show. Because the entire purpose of this show is to give correct information, okay? So as a result, someone at the VA took the time to send me an email to give me clarity, not only about the VA, but any kind of antibody testing anywhere and how that kind of works. You know, anywhere, period.
Yes. And we made a comment on the Voice of the Veteran show about antibody testing, and Gail received the comment back from a VA employee, someone who says, she says, is an authority and who knows what he's talking about. She didn't have permission to use his name, but she says that it's good intel. And that we can trust it as it comes from a quality source at the VA hospital.
That's right. And so we're going to quote the following information as our own firsthand experience, because it was directed to me about antibody testing. Then Nicholas, I'm going to try and Nicholas and I are going to try to pick this apart line by line, you know, because, you know, neither one of us are dummies. We both have postgraduate degrees. And so we're just, but, you know, it's not medicine, you know, so here we go.
We have a quote, and the quote is from the email from Gail to Gail. And it says, by the way, the primary antibody test we use for COVID might not show initial reactivity to the vaccine. Okay, that seems clear, right? But we're like, so Gail, you wanted the antibody test because we talked about this to make sure that the vaccine was actually working, right?
Well, yeah, because I had asked last year for a titer test for measles. And I thought, well, I'll just get one of those to make sure that you know, that new mRNA, that messenger RNA stuff is really kicked in. But that's not quite how it works.
Right. This is interesting. Keep going, Gail.
Okay, so the vaccine, this is a quote, the vaccine uses spike protein to make antibodies. Okay, yes, I knew that because they've talked about it, you know, on TV quite a bit. And those are those, you know, like I said, those sticky out parts right there. Those are spike proteins right there, okay? And that's why they call it the coronavirus, because it's like a crown with all these things sticking out, you know? And these different spike proteins, there's all kinds of them. There's K spikes and M spikes and P spikes and S1 and S2 spikes. And, you know, so do I dare say that I understand that up to that point? Are you getting this? The different kinds of spike proteins?
I'm sorry, I lost my place. But no, yes. Yes. That's clear. You know, I mean, I never can hear too much. So our quote is, here's a little more from that quote. Those who get the virus also make antibodies to the virus capsule. So people who get the coronavirus are infected with the virus, make antibodies, right?
Yeah.
And that's the same way we do with any vaccine. So we make antibodies, which is a defense to that specific virus.
Oh my God. Okay, hold up. Let's just define for the audience what a virus capsule even is. Okay. And then we'll continue on. So in my email from Tony Fauci, but you know what I'm saying, from the authority, he refers to a virus capsule. And well, this is genetic material, okay, that is surrounded by a capsule made from a specialized protein. Okay. And that's why flu shots are different every year. Every year it's different because it's, well, special. Okay. It's just special. Okay. So some of these viruses have an additional layer to them outside of that capsule layer, and that's called an envelope. You know, like you put a letter in an envelope. Well, this is kind of the same kind of thing. So now these corona microbes, you know, are like flying all over the air. And, you know, at least this one is. And, you know, and they're on surfaces too. But, you know, the coronavirus is aerialized, you know, and that's where it is. That's why we wear masks and stuff. But I mean, they have a dizzying array of functions and health effects, these things. I'm telling you, it's different for different people. I mean, they're trying to figure it out still. And I mean, whoa. I mean, but the structure of the virus is basically pretty simple. It looks like that. It's pretty simple. It looks like the app on my phone. Okay. So each one of these things, each one of these little balls of virus has either DNA. I got to take a breath. DNA. No, I'm serious. This is a deal. I'm not going to go on too long, but I'm with
you. We're with you.
Okay. Just, I need a breath too. I mean, I've been in the dumpster all night. You got to remember. Okay. So, so each one of these has DNA or RNA genetic material in it. And that genetic stuff is encapsulated in a protein packet. I know the scientists call it a capsid or something like that, but you know, that's another show. But now this protein packet, like I said, can have that additional layer or the envelope. And last week, you remember we talked about PERC, right? And that's the Patient Education Resource Center. And you can go in and read about all this stuff that I'm talking about. I love going in there. And as you know, I know everything in the world, you know, no, not. But what I'm telling you is just my firsthand experience at the VA and trying to figure this stuff out, you know, and trying to leave something in the library that explains exactly what this stuff is. Okay, so here's the reason that we wear a mask, social distance, and wash our hands, okay? So outside of a living cell, this virus, outside of an actual living cell in our bodies, this virus is just a dormant particle. It's sleeping. And why is it sleeping? Because it lacks the raw materials for reproduction, okay? Viruses are like hijackers, okay? And only when it gets in there to the host cell does it actually go into action, hijacking the cells like metabolic machinery, and it starts producing copies of itself. I mean, it's just cranking out copies as fast as it can. And now we can do one of two things, right? We can avoid that virus altogether, or we can kill that sucker. I mean, kill that virus dead, you know? And that's interferons, and that's another show too. But we can send in, and this is what you and I did when we got vaccinated, right? We can send in mRNA, or that messenger RNA, into the cell with a message telling it to stop that shit. I mean, stop it right now, you know? And it's like football. You know, Nicholas, how much you love football, right? Well, you know how they actually run interference and they're blocking and carrying on and whatever. That's what we want to do with these protein spikes. We want to block them from being able to get in there and do their thing, you know, and start replicating. I'm almost done. Just this much more. I'm telling you, seriously. And after all of that, I know what you're going to ask me. You're going to ask me if we can actually kill a virus. Can a virus actually die? And the answer is no. And the reason is because it was never alive in the first place. A virus can't thrive independently, and that is why it's a hijacker. A hijacker. It needs the genetic host. Okay? That's why masks are important. Even after we've been vaccinated, we need to still continue to wear masks, socially distance, and jump in those dumpsters if that's what it takes to stay the heck away from people. Okay? So 5 characteristics of a virus are, number 1, mass attachment, right? Penetration into a cell, uncoating of that protein packet or envelope, taking it out of the envelope, and now it's going to do its thing, replication and assembly. Okay? It's serious. Okay. Do I understand how? Okay. So I'm going back to the questions from the email. All right. So, I think I understand that up to that point. I don't know how I can without being a scientist, but I'm trying my level best to understand that process so that I can stay away from it. You know what I mean? So here's a quote. Many of the antibody tests that we use only test for capsule antibodies. Remember, we just described what a capsule is. So this test only tests for antibodies in the capsule. Okay. Now, if I'm getting this right, the test is only good for testing people who have actually had the coronavirus. And here's another part of the quote. That test might come back negative if someone got the virus but didn't have the disease itself. Oh my God.
So you're saying that people who had the virus are different from people who didn't have the virus and who were vaccinated?
That's correct. They're two different groups entirely. So yes, and that's how I read this email. And I love it. I love this email because I just read it and I went, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to really, truly, and it wasn't written in doctor language, it was written simply, line by line. But for gosh sakes, this whole process is, it's very complex. I have a lot more respect for the medical staff after going through this, I have to tell you. And so it says that it would be positive, the test would be positive if it was exposed to the real virus and not just to the vaccine. So vaccinated people will not benefit from this test, really. It depends on the timing of it too, I imagine, but like I wanted to run out and get it right away. Give me an antibody test, VA, please, and that's just not what I need to be asking them. So so here's further quote. We use the antibody test for the spike protein as a confirmation test and not the primary test, for that you've got the bug. It's all about this encapsulated thing and whatever else. I mean, seriously, I know there's probably a better explanation to what I just said, but give me a break. So in addition, the moral to the story is to know exactly what you're asking for, before you ask for it, because I would have been in there thinking that the VA was just telling me no for no good reason, and that's not it at all. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. I'm done.
That's great information.
Great information. I tried.
Well, thank you. I learned something. So you're saying, Gil, be informed, know why and what you're asking for before just randomly asking for any antibody test.
Yeah.
Right. And you're also saying that, people get a positive test and then a negative test. It's not because the medical community is giving a crappy test.
No, it's not.
The spike protein status, which makes sense. So
yeah. So the vaccine status matters. Wearing a mask matters even after you get vaccinated. So keep that mask on. That's right. Keep that mask on. And here's the final quote. The person also said, thank you to you and Nicholas for what you do to get the messages out about VA care. I thought
That's nice. That's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought so too. Tequila.
I don't do tequila, but coffee.
Hey, I want to ask Franco something. Franco, do you have any pictures of those donuts back there?
Well, it's bagel.
Oh, you got a bagel. Oh, there's the donuts. Okay, yeah. Because I was just wondering, because I was gonna make up some more thing about our what is her name? In Texas, Crystal, right?
Crystal.
That's right.
I'm sorry, Crystal.
Well, it's Valentine's Day, so I thought we'd say something about Crystal and bring her on the show. Maybe. What do you think?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh! Hey, Crystal.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Happy Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day.
Nicholas, this is my good friend, Crystal, and we met on Spirit Mountain. And yes, She does live in Texas.
San Antonio.
Wow. Happy Valentine's Day indeed.
That's right. So, Crystal, tell me now. So you live in Texas. Where do you live in Texas?
San Antonio.
Where does your mama live, Nicholas?
My mother is moving to San Antonio. My dad lives in San Antonio.
Oh, how convenient is this? Okay, very good. No, I'm just teasing you guys. This is wonderful.
We love you.
I'm on
Crystal. So, Crystal, you were in the Army. Do I have that right?
You do not. Navy, man.
Oh, no. What were you in?
Navy.
Oh, the Navy. Okay, well, what the heck? Now, you told me something about going to OCS or something?
Yeah, ODS. Yep, 5 weeks.
Oh, that's what they call it in the Navy. I'm sorry. You're going to have to correct me all through this whole interview because I'm serious. I haven't a clue. So you were enlisted and then you went through and then you became an officer.
Sure thing. Yep.
Oh, I'm impressed with that. I'm telling you. So exactly what was your job in the Navy? What'd you do?
So I was a corpsman for 5 years, and then I was an officer for 3, healthcare admin.
I see. Where were you stationed? Tell us about that.
So I was in Groton, Connecticut, Atsugi, Japan, and Guam.
Oh my gosh. Which was your favorite place?
Japan, for sure.
Was it really? Did you learn Nipponese? You speak Japanese?
Very little. Like, just enough to get by.
Yeah. Yeah, like where's the bathroom?
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, I wanted you to meet Nicholas today because, hey, Franco, if you have those pictures of axe throwing back there, I want to prove to Nicholas that I knew more about axe throwing than, and I wasn't just making this all up, but this is actually there she is.
It's harder than it looks. Trust me.
I've actually thrown tomahawks before.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, if you take some donuts along, you all would be just right at home. Donuts and axe throwing. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I had friends in the Air Force. We have friends, and they had a tomahawk range in their basement that they built, and it was out in South Carolina. They worked for Boeing, and they had a tomahawk range down there, and we would just throw tomahawks. It's the coolest thing to do, actually.
Really?
I'm
going to do this. How much they charge for that kind of thing?
Right.
It's BYOB.
Oh, yeah, well, of course, you, but I mean, Crystal, what?
So it was free. So Wounded Warrior, like everything was free. Just show up and they paid for all of it.
Oh, Wounded Warriors.
Wow.
What other programs have you been? Now, Nicholas, tell me about the Wounded Warrior thing that you went on.
You know what? The Wounded Warriors, I went on a weekend in Vegas with the Wounded Warrior Project, and they were hosting a relative of mine who was coming back from Iraq. We had tickets to the Terry Fader show, tickets to restaurants. We had a big ballroom feast. There were so many great things. I was absolutely astounded by what the Wounded Warriors did for veterans. It has brought me, it's where the seed was planted into veteran advocacy for me, was that weekend in Vegas hosted by the Wounded Warriors.
Now, I can say, without going into any details at all, but I can say that Wounded Warriors has also helped out my family greatly, and they've gone through a lot of programs and been helped by Wounded Warriors, and I don't have anything negative to say about Wounded Warriors. Crystal, what programs have you been through with Wounded Warriors?
So I've gone through
trips or whatever.
Yeah, so clay shooting, which I have no pictures of. I'm sorry. But also, because I sucked at that. And then axe throwing. I've got a journaling thing coming up. A leather, do it yourself. A wood sign thing. So they offer a lot. Oh, and also yoga, high intensity workout. What else?
So there's a local Wounded Warrior representative that you interface with.
Yeah, so there's many of them. So
when you got out of the military, how did you find out that they even existed?
Oh, so one of my friends in San Diego actually told me about it, and she's also a part of it. And so she was like, "Yeah, just sign up. They have so many things to offer." And I couldn't believe. I was like, "Oh my God! Like, what does it cost?" And she was like, "It's free. Like everything. Yeah. You can pay for anything."
So how long have you been out of the military?
I got out September 8th of last year.
So you haven't even been out a year.
Right.
And you're all busy doing all this stuff.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a good thing. Because so does that make you feel more like part of the community and stuff? Because you have these programs and stuff to, latch into. I want to say that I go to Project Healing Waters fly fishing, and we've been on trips to Montana several times over the last 12 years, for gosh sakes, it's been now. But I absolutely love it. And I guess it's about feeling some kind of specialty and skill outside of the military that is unique and special, because, you said you went to shooting shotguns. What gauge was that shotgun? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't know. They just gave me a gun and I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah, just shoot. Man, get out of the way.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, I shoot a 12 gauge shotgun at Oak Tree Gun Club, and I absolutely love shooting shotguns. And I have my very own. Thank you very much. But that's right. Yeah, that's right. You need to come visit. I was in the dumpster last night, and I should have taken it with me, but it isn't something you can walk down the street with in Burbank, California. You know what I mean? So they will haul my butt in and lock me up. That's what would happen there. Nicholas, do you shoot shotguns?
You know what? I haven't shot a shotgun. My little brother had a little shotgun. We went out and shot out in San Antonio on the ranges out there. My little brother's an artillery man.
Yeah.
I'm Air Force though. I don't partake any longer, but I have shot quite a few shotguns in my life.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk to you about transition programs from active duty military into VA and VA benefits and things like that. I know you sent me an email, Crystal, about the TAP program,
right,
and the transitional assistance program. Nicholas, do you know anything about the TAP program?
You know what, Gail? That's a great question. It has recently appeared on my radar. When I got out of the military, I did not have any understanding of what TAP is. I've recently learned at the VFWC through participating in TEAM that there is a transition program, and it's called TAP. I'd love to hear more.
Oh, through the Family Wellness Center with
Yes, that is where it first appeared on my radar.
Oh, okay. So we need to be able to tell people locally about the Family Wellness Center and the TAP program there, because that's an important thing. So, Crystal, tell me a little bit about your experience with the TAP program and how you interfaced with it. Was it online? Did you go into an office and meet somebody? Were they nasty to you, or were they really nice, or what exactly was that like?
So unfortunately with COVID, it was just all online.
Oh.
And so I had friends that had gotten out before everything had, progressed or whatever. And they were, in person. And they have these, 4 or 5 booklets, and I'm sitting here with one, and I'm like, I'm so confused. Like, I had more things to look at, and but even with COVID, like, they were so helpful. any questions you had, you can call the office or stay later or go in earlier. So even with that difficulty, it was very doable.
Okay, so I have a little note here that said the process for eligibility requirements and enrollment. I think they're talking about for the VA. Yes, they are. I see it here in the rest of the line. Do you have to be disabled to receive health care at the VA? Good question, everybody. Go ahead. No, huh?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so any veteran can go in. Now, I know that there are different eligibility levels. There's service connection. Some people are required to make a co-payment. There's all kinds of things that we need to find out what our specific eligibility is, but you don't have to be disabled to go to the VA. Now, so you said something, Crystal, about women-centric culture and at the VA and how you found out about, I don't know, you go to women's healthcare services at the VA now?
So I know for San Antonio, there isn't a specific women's health, like just by itself.
Yeah.
So you still have to go through your primary care provider to get, GYN type services. But I think it just varies wherever you live, basically. But there's a course, I think it's through the VA general course now online. It used to be just by itself separately, but don't quote me on that.
No, that's fine. It's just whatever our experience is,
Yeah, but it was great. Like, I mean, I didn't even know like half the things they offered for women. I just figured, PCM, okay, well, the general checkup, all right, cool. But no, but they definitely offer just women-centered type, like just, services.
Well, I was not in the women's health clinic for years. I was just in Green Perk with all the guys, the Perk clinics and whatever else. Not Perk, Pace. Got the wrong thing. Pace and Perk and whatever. Yeah. The Pace clinics, red, green, blue, silver one, whatever, and all these hospitals.
Yes.
Yeah. And what's the name of the VA where you are, Crystal?
Audie Murphy.
Oh, really? I didn't know. Now, okay, I'm going to divert here just a little teeny bit. Audie Murphy's wife, Pam Murphy, used to work at Sepulveda VA, and I knew her.
What? Really?
She was 83 years old, and I'm just going to tell you this one quick little story. It's very short. And she created her own job. And she would go out and help the veterans, and and we're sitting there like this, waiting too long and whatever. And she'd say, "Could I check on your appointment for you?" And she'd get their name and their last four, and then she'd go back there and see how long they were going to have to wait. And then she'd come back out and talk to the veteran and just kind of interface so that they just didn't sit there getting pissed off, thinking they're going to wait forever, And one day, she came out and started that process with a young man and trying to help him out. And she goes back in the back to check on his appointment time. And the guy says, "Well, you'd think the damn VA could get some younger people working for him here, And I went, "You've lost your mind. Do you have any idea that that's Audie Murphy's wife, his second wife? His second wife?" I said, you need to be polite when that woman comes out. Well, she came back out. He stood up and he yes ma'amed and no ma'amed her and clicked his heels, and I was happy to see it. You know what I mean? But that honestly, she did. She worked at Sepulveda VA for several years. Yeah, it was cool, man. We loved being around her, as you can imagine. So you're at the Audie Murphy VA in San Antonio. I didn't even know that was. Pardon me?
It's great. I've had friends in other places that have, lagging care, I guess, but I have no complaints. Like the VA here is amazing.
Well, that's good. How are they doing with vaccines? Do you have any experience with that? Because you're probably not on the list yet.
I'm not. Yeah. So right now it's 70 and above, and I think
70 and above.
Right. Yeah, and I think it'll be probably in I think next month or so it'll be 65. So I guess slowly but surely it'll, get to us.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. You know that Nicholas and I got ours.
Right.
Yeah, I got my first shot January 13th and second one February 3rd, and you got yours February 4th. And we videotaped all that, so we're going to do a whole vaccine show. You got to watch that. You promise?
I promise.
Okay. I've got to collect viewers wherever I can. You know what I mean?
My dad says they're doing a great job out there in San Antonio too at the VA. He has received both shots out there already, and he's doing well. Cool to report, Dad doesn't have any side effects.
Good.
And he's feeling strong. Yeah.
And Reno's doing really well. It's where I see problems, frankly, certainly not VA West LA. I mean, they're like a star, I'm telling you. But now we've got Reno's doing really well, and San Antonio's doing really well, I hear. And the ones that are having issues, and it's not a problem, but it's issues, is where they're back east and they're indoors. And, you know, because when Nicholas and I go to West LA, we're outside most of the time, you know, because of the weather's nice and everything. So we don't have to be inside with a heater going and all this stuff. And, oh, can I have a drink of water? You take your mask off. And, you know, no. So none of that goes on. So I'm really happy to hear about San Antonio too. Now, Nicholas, do you have any questions for Crystal before we let her go? Because we've got a rest of a show to do, but I just love having her here.
Oh, so do I. Thank you for being here, Crystal.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Will you come back sometime? We'll talk about some other stuff. I'd love to have you back on the show. I don't know what for, but we'll figure out something.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, TAPS programs wise, I guess.
Yeah.
How long do they follow you? Is there a designated length of time which the TAPS program exists, or is it something you continually have access to?
Oh, good question. Actually, I got a call last week. So TAPS program, whenever you're done, you do your paperwork, boom, bam, whatever, you're out, right?
Yep.
No. So they actually have a follow-up program. So they call you, the VA, they call you when you first get out, then they follow up 6 months after that, and then 6 months after that. And they just call you to follow up, you know, what do you need? Mental health, any kind of health, other, you know, basic health services, college, jobs, you know, just literally it's like a conversation with someone from the VA. It doesn't feel forced. It's just more like, how are you? Like, how can I help you? What do you need?
Now, was this after you got out or before you got out? Because I'm into.
So it's so after you get out, they call you. So I got out on the 8th of September, and they called me like around the 15th-ish, so a week or so. And then they just called me a few days ago. And then before I hung up, she said, we'll call you again in 6 months to follow up and see where you're at.
Now, was there any kind of interface with you while in active duty to mention that the VA even existed, or that would be an eventuality, or what is the process currently? I mean, because you're so recently out of the military, I'm dying to know, you know.
Well, for me, it's a little different because I was in Guam. So we didn't have a VSO, DAV. We didn't have any of that. So I actually filed myself the first time. So that was a little different.
You're smart. So not everybody can do that, and it's tough even for any of us. It's not something we should be expected to do. And you know that VSOs are near and dear to my heart because, you know, they're the ones that help us get those EZ forms filled out. Yeah, right. So, yes. So, yeah. All right. Well, I'm thinking that we're going to say goodbye to Crystal, unless there's one more thing, Nicholas, that you want to ask before we go, because the next thing, Crystal, you keep watching, because we're gonna put up a picture of the new VA secretary next.
All right.
Because we had an acting VA secretary, Dat P. Tran, and we did a whole little thing on him, and then we got our permanent VA secretary, and we want to show his picture in case he shows up in your VA. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, you axe throwing mama. I'm telling you.
Got it.
Absolutely. Hey,
Hey,
Thank you for being
I look
here.
forward to seeing you on Spirit Mountain again.
Of
And
course.
and I know they'll have another retreat for women veterans and stuff, and it'll be really great to get together with you again, and talk silliness.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you for being here, Crystal.
Of course. Thank y'all.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Y'all be safe.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much. All right, Crystal, surprised you, did I?
We're gonna have to talk about this after.
Do you know how much planning that took to not let you know to have tech stuff while you're out riding your bicycle this morning and everything else? I'm going, okay, he's gone. Do the tech now. Oh, yeah.
It seemed like we're a segment short on the show, Gail. Now we're fine.
Yeah, no, we weren't.
Thank you for
I said,
that.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Nicholas. I know this script looks really short, but it'll be okay. You just go with the flow, okay? And
Okay. No, thank you. That's why I love being here. That made my day. Absolutely.
That was fun, huh? I'm glad.
Yeah.
I knew you'd love it. I knew you'd love it. I wouldn't have done it to you. But man, that took some planning. Whew. I'm glad that's over with. Weeks ago, I finally told MC Franklin back there, I said, hey, yeah, there he is. There he is right there. I said, MC, I said, this Crystal's a friend of mine. He goes, you mean she's real? And I said, well, she wasn't initially because I was just making stuff up. And then I thought, well, she's from Texas. She was in the military, whatever. She's delightful. Why shouldn't I just copy stuff and make it up? So I did, and it turned into a real person. And MC says, well, Valentine's Day is coming up. Maybe we better do it on Valentine's Day. So I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, fine. So that's how that worked out. Okay. All right.
I changed my whole mind. I'm going to Spirit Mountain. I don't know. I'm going to Spirit Mountain.
There's a lot of lovely ladies at Spirit Mountain. That's right. That's great. Hey, let's show everybody casually that we have a new VA secretary. Let's show his picture and announce his name, and there he is. That is VA Secretary Dennis with one N, McDonough. And he's, I have a link here. Oh, I have a link, by the way, that I'm going to send through on all the programs that we just talked with Crystal. I was all involved in everything and, didn't do that. But I do have a link that we'll add in the library for the new VA secretary and to share that with everybody, because it's good to know about, the administration and who's where and the structure of the VA and to be, part of that kind of thing.
Absolutely. So VA Secretary Dennis McDonough is our new acting secretary.
No, he's the permanent one. He's not acting. That was acting Dat P. Chan or Tran. Tran Dat P. Tran was the acting secretary until the permanent secretary Dennis McDonough could get sworn in.
Nice.
And all that. So that's what we got going on there.
Well, welcome to VA Secretary Dennis McDonough.
Yes, absolutely. We look forward to your leadership. Yeah. All right. So I'm skipping over here to, hang on. This is, as you know, it's Heart Health Month at the VA. And it is also Black History Month. So I picked out an individual that I wanted to honor, and I'm going to read that. And then I know that you have a special thing that you've been working on too, and I'll let you announce that after I read mine. So each week during Black History Month, we're trying to I've been trying to educate myself by researching various leaders in the Black community because I just don't want to remain an ignorant person. That's the point. So I looked up Rosa Parks, and I already knew who she was. Duh. I mean, who doesn't know? But I'd never taken the time to truly study her story and, and realize how important she was in my own life personally. So I'd like to honor her and highlight her as part of our history. I honor her quiet dignity and her strength and her commitment to justice. And I related to her story because I see her as kind of a spark, for what was truly like the second Reconstruction in American history. The Civil Rights Movement, and which led to the dismantlement of Jim Crow and the right to vote, and the initiation of, Great Society programs in general. And her courage to sit down is giving me courage to stand up. And that's why I want to recognize and acknowledge her today, the Black culture, and because Black history is American history after all. You know what I'm saying? So next week, this is kind of funny and it's kind of not, and I know you'll appreciate the point, I guess. Next week, I'm going to be presenting a quiz on Jim Crow laws for California white people. Now, that way, us white people don't have to look around anymore when someone says, "Stop Jim Crow," and we say, who the hell is this Jim Crow guy and what did he even do? So that's not, that's just dumbness. So we're going to have a quiz on Jim Crow, and just tell me, seriously, just tell me you weren't thinking that very thing right now. So don't look at me like, well, it's not like I'm sitting here singing Strange Fruit or something like that. So, go for
it. What is Strange Fruit, Gail?
I'm not going to explain it. I just saw Billie Holiday movie, and so it came to my head. That's what that's all about. I've been playing it on YouTube. I've been playing it on the Alexa.
You know what? If we have the rights, I've got Outkast, Rosa Parks, like keyed up. I was about to drop that Outkast, Rosa Parks on you, but I said, well, we don't have the rights to it. But I'm gonna send it to you later to listen to.
Oh my God! Did I go too far? Did I go too far?
No. I just want you to hear some Outkast. It's good.
I liked it. So take your time. We've got plenty of time. You just tell them about what you're going to tell them. I'm going to sit back and listen because this is an interesting story.
Well, y'all, it is, of course, as Gail said, this week begins our focus on Black history, Black veteran history specifically. And it's TGIF, I like to call that. Thank God it's February month. It's Black History Month. And I'm excited about sharing what we've learned about the Harlem Hellfighters, right? It's the obvious choice for me as an Air Force guy to go ahead and say, let's talk about the Tuskegee Airmen. But I've researched them a lot and I'm still learning, but also I wanted to learn something new along with our viewers here. And that's why we're talking about the Harlem Hellfighters this week. And as I mentioned before, and as we mentioned last week, Black servicemen and women are a focal point this month, and they're going to be part of our focal point next month also. But the U.S. Army's 369th Regiment, which was also known as the Harlem Hellfighters, was formed in 1916 as the 15th New York National Guard Infantry Regiment. Okay, African-American enlisted soldiers were led by Black and white officers, and they were the ones who comprised this unit. They were also nicknamed the Black Rattlers. And the Hellfighters endured intense racism along the way, not only at home and possibly abroad, but there was this misconception back then. And there was a misconception that Black soldiers were inferior in battle. So the Hellfighters overcame that to end up going to France. And another thing is that sometimes, oftentimes, Black soldiers didn't know when they joined the military what they'd be doing. And sometimes they were going to be used as stevedores, or they would be, put to work as a stevedore or a laborer. But in this case, the Hellfighters were federalized in 1917, the 369th Regiment, and then they were trained for combat for World War I. Went to France, joined the French 161st Division, and went into battle. This isn't an enviable thing for American soldiers to, at the time, it wasn't enviable for American soldiers to fight alongside a foreign unit. But the Hellfighters went out there to France, and they accepted that charge. Now, the Hellfighters actually wore French helmets and they wore French belts. They did don the U.S. Army uniform, though, and the Hellfighters received the highest honor from the French government, the Croix de Guerre, which is War Cross, along with 170 other awards for bravery as they fought. They were the longest fighting unit during World War I. They also suffered mass casualties, around 1,500 soldiers lost during that time. Now, while this is all astounding stuff, the 369th Regiment is arguably most known for its morale building, because not only did they bring their combat skills to France, they also brought the 369 Regiment Band. So they brought jazz to Europe. And this was, yes, so they brought jazz to Europe and to France. And of course, we all know what happened there. So the Hellfighters Band was very well known. Now, the story is a lot like the veterans today. This plays across throughout the course of history. It's hard for veterans to come home, right? And it wasn't different for the 369th Regiment. They returned home at what was probably the zenith for racism in the United States. So it was difficult for them to come home. I know as a lot of veterans I see and talk to today, we share that common thing, coming home. It's a common theme. This was a theme for the 369th Regiment as well. So with that, I'll say from me to you, to the 369th Regiment, welcome home.
Nice. Nice job, Nicholas. Good job. I was just sitting here eating tortilla chips from the dumpster, but then you almost made me cry. A little baggie. I brought them home with me, for goodness sakes. Really, really good job. Good job. Now, what are you going to do next week?
We're going to do the 6-888 next week. The 6
Oh, good.
Yes.
The women in there.
Yes, of course. So
I saw that documentary. It was good. It was really good. I didn't even know all the stuff they did, and talk about morale. I mean, you need people getting that mail out there to the troops, because that's important. That is incredibly important.
Well, I'm excited. So this week is going to be all prep for that. I'm excited to learn. That's one of the great gifts of Gail and I doing the show, is we're constantly learning. And we like to share what we learn. We like to do that anyway, but having Voice of the Veteran here to be able to share that with our fellow veterans and also with civilians is actually a true gift. So I'm just grateful to be here.
So I'm thinking, maybe we'll do a wrap and recap. I've got one quick second to talk about a silly thing that is, we talked about burning strings one week. What is it? Different things that the military does that the civilians don't know about. Do you know, now you're in the Air Force, so you may not know this, and it's not a big deal, but I actually mean that sincerely, not to be a cut. But do you know what a Ranger band is?
No, I don't. I don't want to guess.
Nobody does, and that's why I brought it up. Okay, so you know what a rubber band is, obviously, and this is a rubber band, only it's special, because you can get a bicycle tire and cut any width rubber band that you might need for gear or, you need to strap something down. You just cut a bicycle tire and you can have one this thick or that thick or whatever else. And that's called a Ranger band because it's something that you make out of old trash or whatever else. And that's what people do in survival situations. So I only said that because we got a couple of minutes. But you know what? Let's do a rapid recap. And, tell me what most stood out in your mind on the show today on Valentine's Day, even,
Well, you know what? Being an LA guy, I'd say my take home for this week, Gail, is that they don't just have angels in Los Angeles. They also have them in San Antonio.
That's right. That's right. I just knew you'd be happy. That's a really good comeback. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, there are so many things this week. I mean, even everything that Crystal said about, various programs, the TAP program and all that, because you and I just didn't have that same opportunity. And I know you're way the heck younger than I am, but I mean, just to know that there are things that are helping veterans transition into community life in their local communities and things that they can go do. And these programs aren't just silly little, sports things or little outings to go on. They're actually confidence building skills. And, you hear about veterans going out and playing golf or shooting or going fishing or, and all this kind of stuff. Well, what would be wrong with that anyway? But if you really think about it, it's all about building confidence, building community with other veterans and interfacing. I remember one guy came to the VA, his name was Jess. And we used to have a bird sanctuary at VA West Los Angeles. It's very special. And when he came back from combat, he couldn't talk at all. I mean, Jess couldn't. He couldn't speak, but the birds spoke to him. And eventually he started speaking back. And I'll never forget this. He actually started talking with the birds, and he spent every day out there with those damn birds and finally could turn around and speak to human beings again. And it was wonderful. And that kind of stuff is what goes on with Wounded Warriors. Thank you, Wounded Warriors. Thank you to all these programs that help vets get outside of their shell and do things in the community again and be okay. Because, when they talk about that 1,000-yard stare or whatever else, and people come back, they're just like, boom,
Mm-hmm.
they're there, but not socialized.
I've seen it, Gail. I've seen it.
It's rough.
Yeah.
And so I really, really appreciate all the various 501(c)(3)s and nonprofit organizations that help us out with things like that. Voluntary services at the VA hospital helps with that. Certain the psychology department sometimes helps with that. So I'm thinking too, one of these days I'm going to talk about P38s. One of these days, I'm going to talk about challenge coins. I mean, we're going to talk about more. There's a whole bunch more veteran-y kind of things other than just Ranger bands. You know what I mean? But or burning strings. But
I have to give a shout out, Gail, to my brother. My brother is a veteran Ranger. He is a Ranger in the Army. I got to give my brother a shout out.
Oh,
my big brother.
Yeah, I'm proud of him. I got one last thing that we keep avoiding every week, and I'm going to show it right now. This is about homeless veterinary care for pets. Okay, now we had Kyle and Jerry on the show a few weeks ago, and we were talking about, oh, there's my bird clock going off. It must be time to quit the show. And
Almost.
I know, but I just want people to know that now that there's veterinary care, homeless people can bring their animals in, and I will include this on the links and stuff for our library so that people can know. And the link is petsofthehomeless.org. Okay, that's what that is, and you can get your pet checked. get medical care while you're getting medical care for you. So thank you so much to all our loyal viewers. And next week, we'll have more on my coronavirus adventures. Hopefully I can just take that app off because I don't want that alarm going off because I've had just about all the Mexican food that I can handle. I mean, there was just piles of it in there. So that's it for Nicholas Cormier, the third, and MC Franklin in the back. This has been Voice of the Veteran Show, and we'll see you guys again next week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks again, Crystal.